Well. As you will see on this list that you will be reviewing, are some dates, including information that is connected to private notes I have about things that were ongoing, including an event that happened on April 12th. See, it would seem the events of April 12th, 2021, I mean, being as they were 1 year after April 12th of 2020, not only had merit, but that I had actually been a capital investor. Based upon what I had available at the time, apparently I was in fact already a capital investor and I had been defrauded. Now, if somebody were to contact the editor and the other staff of the Chicago Tribune that were terminated prior to this, what is it called? Alden Global Capital deal involving Chicago Tribune Company, well, there might be some redress that could be affected. But in the lieu of anybody actually contacting me, it would seem a deadline passed, and somebody else's default has unfortunately had very profound consequences. What would it have been for? Well, apparently it would have been silver. And see, I was also, in a completely unrelated context, right? Defrauded out of my pension benefits from the Department of Public Health in San Francisco, which to this time is outstanding, and itself has had very profound consequences. But yeah, even with the modest amount of money, or rather, what I would have considered income into my small business enterprise that had been provided ostensibly as part of the response to COVID 19, I made investments and also allowed for what had been provided by the community for a considerable amount of time to be considered as part of what I would have identified as my reserve. It should seem that there is a requirement for a particular kind of investment. I assure you that all of that could be met, and any of the paperwork that would be necessary to accomplish it and may require some sort of compensation in the form of assuring that one who provided the services and making sure that everything was done correctly has actually already been provided on the list that this video is going to be posted on, with one exception, which itself is part of the disputation, right? And I have all the materials I needed otherwise for a particular number of people, but there's something outstanding, and that has to go to what the disputation is. In addition, of course, to my pension benefits from the city and county of San Francisco. See, as I've said before, and I will let you know again, in early part of this year, I attempted to apply for a job. I had a budget associated with something I had already invested in. Look at that. Things that had been provided as part of income to my small business, but also in connection with investments made by the community. And in consideration of that, I had another budget. A budget based upon what I was going to do with that job. In the course of 1 year, I had planned already to have a comprehensive system so I could support my own understanding of what would have been appropriate woman and child health care, with a separate health care component specific for men. But the budget for that could have been met, in addition to providing me with the means I would have needed in order to acquire a training in order to assure that I would have been in a position to get recertified in my previous non-destructive testing, technology certifications, including in consideration of getting the materials I would need in order to be compliant with the standards, including the standards I originally tested at, in order to also secure them as part of a system that's in the course of being meted out at this time, and also to assure that I would have been able to have gotten some radiological safety training, which would have been a part of that, which thus far, let's say, has not been as comprehensive as it should have been and otherwise could have been. And in the course of that, could have been in a position to acquire my own savings bond as part of that could have been used to address any sort of concerns regarding those certifications. But there's a problem. I wasn't able to keep that job. Why? Because somebody set up another deal using my stolen identity that ended up causing an act of terrorism in another area of the country, specifically San Francisco, California. It was very, very unfortunate. I contend it was pension fraud, in addition to other problems. But the point being that I was not able to maintain that job. I was not able to make an income. As a matter of fact, I haven't been able to maintain any job because their conspiracy to usurp my identity by others with ill intent has been so comprehensive. And so I'm owed. I've already stated the amount. It's actually relatively modest, and let me tell you something. It isn't even as much as the value of what I already have that could have been available at this time were you to have actually needed what you say you needed, which is what you tried to justify engaging in highly illegal activities around illegal coinage processes to obtain. The budget that I needed at the time and that had already planned for and understood was possible was actually relatively modest. The amount in total was to be, here we go, give me a second now. The total amount that I was expecting to be able to acquire in 1 year in order to be able to successfully complete these possibilities would have been, just wait a second now, you need to make sure all these things are lined up. Look at all this. Just making sure that I get the papers all taken care of. For the certification here, budget in terms of what would be acquired here, what was expected on a monthly basis to accrue in order to be able to result in having available before tax time next year, $1,000 to be put to a United States savings bond so that it could be used in matters related to the necessary processes concerning certification, cost of the specifics per month needed for my health care plan, and then the other ingredients that would have been necessary to make that possible. My understanding is that the amount total, right here, $21,551.64. All of that could have been accomplished. By now, we'd be more than halfway there, you know that? And by now, I would be in a process where I would be preparing to take the first of the 3 trainings I would have needed to take in order to fulfill what I would have considered to be the appropriate requirements in this recertification process. But we are in July, and this was supposed to commence in February, which means that we are very, very, very behind on this budget. And any other financial considerations pale in comparison with what could already have been accomplished, especially if you're going to let me know, as you did, that there's the emergency need we have, and I happen to have exactly what you need right now, right? It is 12:31 a.m. on July 18, 2021. I'm in Dallas, Texas.